Hello, welcome, and thank you for coming. My name's Llewd Lloyd. You are probably here wondering if you should buy Ashes of Creation on Steam come December 11th, and I do have a quick answer and a long answer, and this will ultimately be a long video due to the fact that there's just so much encompassing on preparing you for what you need to expect when coming into the world of Verra, which is the world of Ashes of Creation. I don't normally do these types of videos, so I will be reading from a script. There is a lot of information that I need to tell you, and I will not be giving you the death stare into the camera. I will be looking this way. So thank you for understanding in advance. So let's get to it. If you're not already aware or don't follow the Ashes community in general, my experience in this game is probably close to around 5,000 hours or more in the alpha at this point. I'm in one of the most infamous, if not the most infamous, guilds in Ashes of Creation, and I've been part of the testing since pre-alpha 1 in 2021. So I've been playing the game a lot, and I have been having a lot of fun with it. Otherwise, I would not put 5,000 hours into a game that's not even out yet. So, should you play Ashes of Creation on Steam December 11th? The answer is the same it's always been, which is if you want to play a finished game, no, do not come and play Ashes of Creation. If you want to play a game that is in development, you want to give feedback, you want to experience bugs, do reporting, all that stuff, yes, you can definitely come and play the game. It's $50. It's much more manageable now via Steam. But your expectations of what the game truly is will not land, and it is far from completion with many things yet to be added. With all of that in mind, I believe you will have fun with the game. You will extend past Steam's refund policy by the time that you make a full educated decision. There will be people that are not happy about that. The point of this video is so that you do not make that mistake. You do not join in too early. Unfortunately, I'm not a big creator like Asmongold or Pirate Software, and I won't be able to reach a large audience, but here I am. I feel like it's my due diligence, my responsibility as somebody with X amount of hours in the game, and how long I've been following the project, that I have to try to inform the public. This game is not ready and probably isn't ready for Steam in mine and probably the entire community's perception. Steven is currently walking through the wasteland, bringing the community along with a, trust me, bro, it's going to work out. Legitimately, if this game works out and everything that leads to launch works for Intrepid, Steven may be the second coming of Jesus Christ for MMOs, like all around. It could crash, fail, burn miserably. I think there's a large portion of the community that thinks with this move to Steam that is a high possibility. I don't really think that's the case, so I'm just going to keep moving forward. But yeah, it is kind of crazy to see the MMO community at large. Just their reaction to this is like absolutely insane. It's crazy. I can't I can't even put my mind on it with how far it's blowing it out of proportion. So I don't know, man. I do have to do a quick insert. I know I come across as a white knight for Intrepid a lot of the times. I might be one of the biggest white knights for this game. I am heavily biased. If you've seen Kira's video recently saying you cannot trust Ashes content creators who are giving out referral codes, fear not, because I don't care about that. I have a job, I don't need money, and I want this game to succeed. I want literally Ashes of Creation to be one of the best games in the world, and I'm only doing that through feedback and content creation is just because I see a future in this game. And I want it to succeed. And I think everybody wants this game to succeed. I don't know a single Ashes of Creation content creator that is not hypercritical of the game. I don't think I've seen one that is more white knighted. Well, okay, never mind. There's two that I can think of off the top of my head that are more white knights than me. But For the most part, everyone is critical of the game. Everybody is critical of the systems. They are all giving a lot of feedback, but I don't think a single one of them is doing it for money. I think that kind of claim is outrageous. It should have never been said. It came from like an extremely uneducated point of view who had not done as much research into that aspect of that video. I will say the rest of that video is probably fine. He conducted himself in a very factual manner, and Kira did very well for that video overall. That was the only thing that affected my credibility. My peers who also work on this game as like a hobby for their like content creation and stuff, and I don't know. I found it a little offensive, to be fair, and like the fact that it would affect my credibility as an Ashes content creator. Outside of that, all of his opinions are fine. All the entire video is fine. He seems like a great guy. I just felt like that needed to be addressed. That none of us are like suckling at the teat of Intrepid for their money. So if you had an inkling of that opinion, or if you still think that, your opinions are just no longer valid to me, and I'll ignore you henceforth. Moving on, I will be addressing a few different topics and situations. They will all be in the timestamps below, so if there's something that you'd like to skip ahead to, go back towards, you can always do that. I will be doing that before I post the video live, keeping my future self accountable because I suck at that. Yeah, so moving on. Joining Ashes of Creation at this stage of the project means you're just joining for the lesser pay tag, which is $50 Steam purchase. Previously, it was like $100 or $120, depending on which part of the phase and which part of the alpha keys that you were getting access towards. And before that, it was even more. So like I joined in 2020 and I spent like $600 plus cosmetics on this game 5 years ago. If the game doesn't come out, or it does and it's not good, you know, I just lost my investment to a Kickstarter game and that sucks. Oh well. That's kind of how I feel about it. I know there's going to be people that are much more upset about something like this. They're going to be wanting like refunds or whatever. But let's be really real here. You're watching this video because you're lost. The Western MMORPG dream is dying. There's very little standing in the way of corporate greed, and understandably, you believe Steven might be that as well. And he might be. But I don't know if you can invest $90 million into a passion project and think putting it on Steam for $50 is going to be a good return of investment. I just don't. And simply put, this game is not a scam. If it is, it's a terrible scam. And Steven is terrible at multi-level marketing, a zero pay-to-win game being solely funded by a $15 sub and cosmetic microtransaction shop. You're here because you don't have a lot of places to go, and you're wondering, is this a good game for me? If you want an MMO RPG that is extremely player-driven, has lots of sandbox themes with a side of theme park that has open-world, factionless PvP, you're off to a good start. If you want an MMORPG that is based in generic fantasy with dragons, cultists, and based off Pathfinder or D&D, that also fits. If you want to build the world with other players with beautiful visuals and immersive systems, you'll enjoy the scenery and the world. If you want a game with tons of potential for reactive combat in all forms, small, medium, and large-scale fighting over monsters with interesting mechanics against other players for that chance of loot, this game might be for you. If you are expecting a normal early access dive-in with complete systems and the ability to see everything that has been shown in previous dev streams, well, hold your horses, it's about to get really bumpy. If you watched Nice's video about how much Ashes has progressed in the past year, you'll understand a bit more. We've come a long way, but the game is still extremely far from what it needs to be, especially content-wise. Everyone up to this point has been experiencing the world, its systems, gone through the major changes, seen plenty of issues with exploits, poorly designed systems brought in too early, or systems that have been overtuned to stop players from interacting in systems purposefully. The Ashes of Creation community has knowledge of why things are the way that they are. The new Steam community will not. The new players will not. This game will 100% get review bombed, hated on, claim that it's been the scam the whole time, just like it has for the past 8 years. I'm not going to lie and say that it's not going to happen. This recently happened in Escape from Tarkov 1.0 release. If you don't think this will happen December 11th, you're delusional, and people will rush to the Reddit and the Steam reviews, and they will drop all the negative comments, and yet Intrepid has decided this is the way forward, and that's kind of the way it is. It is what it is. So yeah, this is pretty much the last I'll really say on this topic. I think it's a bad idea. Everyone thinks it's a bad idea, but we are going to continue moving forward. And like I said, it is what it is. One thing that I can say about the dev team is that they are extremely passionate. They care about their product. They really have hardened backs on like community discourse and drama and everything that's happened through it. I will say it's not, if you're expecting like a Blizzard or an Activision or like a Riot, this company communicates way differently than anything I've ever seen anywhere else. I think they're in between like professionalism and just being human beings. It's kind of funny. I think they're still trying to learn the lines of like, what's a good way to communicate with the community? What's going over the line too much? When does feedback become an issue, right? Where the community can sometimes have really bad ideas, and sometimes you need to not listen to them, and you need to focus on your own development and make the game the best as you possibly can. However, there are times when the community sentiment is overwhelmingly different from what developers think is the right thing to do. So there is a balance, and I think Intrepid are also going through that process as well. There have been issues in the past where the dev team and the community communication has like started several wars within the official Discord, and it's kind of been an ongoing thing. My biggest grime is literally the not being able to CC non-combatants. And man, I severely disagree with them, but the devs severely agree that we should not be able to CC non-combatants. So that's something that I have to suck up. That's something I have to take. They are doing a lot of changes on the PTR or the public test realm currently for this new event that basically all the alpha testers currently have access to, but it's currently under visual NDA for good reasons. There are definitely things that you do not want to show the public. It is very choppy on the PTR, but when it goes live, it's generally a lot more polished, and a lot of the immediate concerns that people would see seeing some of the things behind the PTR don't really exist on the live or production servers because they normally polish that all up, and it's usually pretty good. We have spoken with one of the lead devs very, very recently who has said that they have acknowledged the communication issues. They're going to work on it to try to get better, to try to let us know more about like why they're making certain changes, what they're trying to accomplish, what state they're in. Hopefully that comes into fruition. They're not perfect. They are human. They will make mistakes. I think this is kind of the mentality that we need to go into as a community when we're trying to help foster a good game. If there's just too much negativity, then there's just no progress. Morale goes down on a developer side, and we cannot treat this early access like we would a live service game, even though it should be treated as a live service game on Intrepid side, and they should start bringing in more communications, more balance changes, more patch changes that kind of let us know what we're testing, what they're aiming for, and what we're trying to accomplish. I think that would be the next step in this current state of development. That is a huge focus. The best example I can give about the devs being passionate and receptive to feedback was when they were releasing the new biome, the Anvils. It's a mountainous region with the Dwarven portal into Verra. They asked for our feedback, and I spoke up with the same dev and another dev that was in Discord with us, and they were just asking for our feedback on voice. And I said basically that it feels like I'm just out hunting with the boys in a new world. There's no looming threat. There's nothing that makes me scared to go out into the world. Like, sure, there's new monsters and minotaurs and bandits, but nothing that screams like there's something else in the world that we really need to worry about. Why are we being forced out of Sanctus into the portals into Verra? Why do we need to create settlements? Like, none of that was really apparent. It just felt like I was out in the world and I'm killing monsters and mobs and stuff like that. It didn't really feel alive. And so, a few months later, here we are. The Harbinger event is coming into being on the PTR. These mobs are actually fun to fight, unlike most of the mobs in the game currently, because the PvE is not great. But the PvE for the Harbingers event is actually amazing. It shows me that they actually have potential to have good PvE encounters, where before I was extremely doubtful. It just goes to show you that there is more that they can do, and that if they apply it all over Ashes of Creation and continue upgrading things to that level, this game is going to be a truly great game. And that's why I keep following it. That's why I keep on having this vision. There's a lot wrong with it. I totally understand. But that's kind of like the little glimpse of Intrepid where I'm like, okay, this game could be amazing. This game could be the game. Now let's get into what you should expect as a player entering Verra from a player perspective. There's just literally so much in this game that I would have to explain to a new player that it's just too much to do it to describe in nuance. There are videos out kind of explaining stuff that's happened in the past. There's the Ashes of Creation wiki, which is owned by Lex, a player in the community who has been following this project since like the start of it. It is a incredible source of information. You should definitely go check that out. The wiki, there's the Ashes Codex. There's a whole bunch of these different websites that are community built to try to help inform players joining this game. And I can post them in the links below just so you can have like a basis of where we're moving forward from here. If you've already heard a bunch of this stuff, if you're a current player in the game, you probably know all this stuff, but I feel like it's extremely essential for the people that are joining us now. When you log into Ashes of Creation for your very first time, you will open up the launcher, the game will load, photosensitivity warning, which is good because there are a lot of bright lights, lots of flashbangs and stuff that happens because the game is not optimized yet. So be prepared. Then you will go into a character creator. The character creator is extremely far away from what was promised, and I'm actually extremely surprised they even use the character models of the UE5 models or whatever that we currently have, because they are nowhere close to what was promised a long time ago. I don't know if that's a restraint, if it's because they haven't been focusing on it, if there's just not enough that they can do to create their own tools to make this work. Like the sculpting is kind of there, not really. It's missing a lot of the portions. But yeah, the trailer using the current character models is really beyond me. It's just nowhere near close to what was promised. The models do not look amazing in the current state of the game. Also, you'll be able to choose which portal you'll launch from. You'll either choose the Anvils or the Riverlands. There will be 4 total portals when the game launches that all have different racial aesthetics and backgrounds attached to them: humans, dwarves, elves, and orcs. There's 2 sub-races for each race, and a 9th race called the Tolnar, which are bestial folks that are definitely not furries, according to Steven. There's gonna be furries. The Tolnar are not in the game, but we are going to see for the first time the 8th and final race. I say final, except for the Tolnar, brought into the game, the Renkai Orcs, come December 11th. And the character models on the PTR are, let's say, not complete. That would be the verbiage I would use. When you log into the game, there is no tutorial. You start off just in the ruins of whatever portal that you come out of. And there will be quests, but the markers are not extremely prevalent. You will need to find your way in the world, as well as some of them might be bugged or force locked, so you can't go deeper into the story arcs. You'll never know which is which if it's bugged or locked. So we just assume everything's bugged. Keep that in mind as you're progressing forward, that there will be a lot of bugs. There will be things that stop your progression, like bugged quests. But that doesn't mean that you are stopping at quests, because gathering, mob grinding, and doing commissions and other things like that still exists in the world for you to get XP up to level 25, which is the current level cap. But generally, as a note, I have actually been able to complete nearly every quest in the game. There's been a few that are bugged, but for the most part, what's inside the game, I have been able to complete most of those quests. The Anvils is pretty straightforward, and there's quests that will lead you out of the starting area into the world. However, the Anvils is newer, and right now they're working on putting meaningful content into the world. I will say right now, the world at large right now is massive. There is a lot of dead space. There could be different mobs that they can place. They could have different routes. They could change the terrain up to create different choke points across biomes and stuff like that. These are all things that the devs are actually thinking about when it comes to journeying through the world and traveling. There is no fast travel. If there are Ember Springs at different points of interest, which are your respawn points, where if you die, you don't go all the way back to town, you go to the nearest Ember Shrine, and that's kind of how that goes, which creates the, man, it sucks that I died, but at least I'm not all the way over there type of thing too. And it also creates something that you have to discover in the world, so that you don't respawn forever away, that you're like, oh, this is where I should be. So they are discoverable, they are on the map, so you'll be able to see those, and it will make your experience a lot better. The Riverlands is where primarily all of the core systems are, and that's where most of the content had started being made, so it's a lot more developed than pretty much anywhere else in Ashes of Creation or on Verra or whatever you want to call it. That's where I would probably start if I was a new player, just because you will experience more of what Ashes of Creation has to offer than if you were to start in the Anvils. For example, the Anvils is newer. They do have the first time user experience. You will be able to go out in the world, but it is much easier to transition from the Riverlands to somewhere else in its current state. The Riverlands also has less pocket dungeons, but it definitely has more grand dungeons. It has more points of interest that you can go to, where you'll see, for an example of the grand dungeon, you'll see a large tower in the northeast called Carfin, which is currently endgame content. And I say that with quotes because we can only reach level 25. There's no real endgame at the moment. There's another grand dungeon called the Befallen Forge, which is like a dwarven-esque underground in the mountain dungeon, which is really, really cool. It has a lot of really cool boss mechanics, mob mechanics. There are little workbenches in the deep, the depth of that dungeon, where you have to bring rare materials down, work your way through the dungeon without dying, without dropping those materials, and then craft it and then extract with those items. So it's kind of like its own little extraction game in that dungeon alone, which is really cool. And I hope they do more dungeons like that. However, if you expand your playstyle outside of the dungeons and are just traveling on the world map, mobs seem randomly placed around the world. Intrepid have space, mob density, player routes that they'll probably be changing in the future, but right now it feels semi-placeholder. The points of interest around the world that you will go to get gear or mob drops, hopefully they kind of show up everywhere, and they'll have certain level requirements for different ones, but you won't really know until you get there. So it is a bit of an exploration kind of learning curve that you have to do. I also say hopefully that they drop gear or have some sort of mob drop, because Last phase Intrepid made mob drops near impossible and had us primarily focus on gathering and crafting and the economy side of things by design. We've given copious amounts of feedback, and hopefully they'll listen to us regarding that feedback, because there was a lot. There was a lot of feedback around that. Luckily, mob placement, mob balancing, loot table drops, material quantity drops, crafting recipes, etc. are all easily changeable, if not just take a lot of time changing around the database and stuff. So while things may be severely unbalanced, not dropping like appropriate items from mob types or whatever, it should be all well within the new players' expectations coming into the game, that the game state is not what it should be and your feedback is heavily desired. One of the things that is balanceable and changeable as well has been the combat, whether it's for PvP or PvE, or what we like to call in the community PvX. Gear has gone through tremendous amounts of changes over the Alpha 2 and continues to change as Intrepid try to find the right balance. For a brief overview in the 4 phases that we've had, phase 1, 2, 2.5, and 3, we have gone through various time to kill changes. In phase 1, we had lots of drops from mobs, but once crafting was unlocked, crafting was much better, as it should be. In Stephen's verbiage, crafters make the best shit, as they should. But legendary crafts would give you insane amounts of power, and you could literally one-shot anybody. In phase 2, legendary items were tuned way down, but enchanting became available. Intrepid learned very quickly that enchanting was just about as powerful as the previously tuned legendary weapons, and so they went through another stat rework. They adjusted how enchanting works so it's not overpowered, but phase 2.5 came along and heavily increased the TTK to the point where players were running out of mana before being able to kill each other and would have to auto-attack each other to death. Finally, the most recent phase, phase 3, had probably the most balanced time to kill. They gave gear set bonuses at higher end tiers of gear. Now they're implementing new changes along with the incoming Harbinger Event December 11th, so we have yet to see what that looks like in the near future. And now let me interrupt you with a brief message from our sponsors. Everything is subject to change, and it will change a lot, and it will not be the most fun or balanced at times, and you might really not like it. But it's okay, because it's an alpha, right? Right, guys? It's an alpha? It is an alpha, right? One last final comment about the gearing. Gears have 3 tiers within each level bracket. There is level 10, low, medium, and high. Level 20, low, medium, high. Level 30, low, medium, high, etc., etc., etc. These would be crafted inside of a settlement, and your mayor will build craft benches in order to do that. Artisans will have to get certain certifications for those levels, and they will have to earn those recipes by either mob grinding or buying them. But there's just literally so much of these systems that like kind of overlap each other that I can't really explain it in nuance. So just know that it's going to be just a big learning curve for you. There's a lot of items, there's a lot of recipes. You won't know where to get them, where to craft them. If you need to buy them off the market, you can. There is going to be a player market in the UI, so don't worry about that. You may have to spend hours hitting rocks, cutting trees, picking flowers, and you will get overall bored or frustrated with the system unless that is, specifically your jam. Oh, and it takes a momentous amount of work. Please add feedback to Intrepid so they can hear you and hopefully make the game better. One thing I personally want, even as a hardcore player, is I want a casual-friendly game, because casuals do make the game survive. Don't get me wrong, I want it difficult, hard to complete, competitive, and also have complex systems within this game. But if it's not simple enough at its basis and have fundamental architecture for a casual player to have a chance in the world, it's just not worth putting into the game, or like building extra systems just so that they can enjoy the game. It makes, 1, the design harder, and 2, just makes the game less fun in general. If I had one phrase for the devs to like maybe hold on to, it's KISS, which is keep it simple, stupid. So keep it simple. You can make complex things within a simple architecture. Before we get into the artisan and economy side of things, if you haven't followed the game for a long time, you might have heard about these things called nodes. Nodes were or are the player-built and player-driven villages, towns, cities, and never mind, we got rid of metropolises. So basically, these will be your player hubs. This is where the markets, the craft stations, warehouses, commission boards, taverns, housing, literally anything and everything everyone expects from a D&D campaign when you go visit a city or a town. A lot of these systems or things are not easily recognizable, and you will have to spend time in town figuring it out. They do only have a couple of human-themed plugs at the moment, but are supposed to have different racial architecture and have a lot more default buildings in them than they currently have. The hub itself is far from complete as well, as we can only reach the town state or level 4 node or settlement level. And also, when or if you decide to join December 11th, they will not be built. You will have to build them by creating crates and leveling them up with doing quests, killing mobs, and gathering stuff in the area for the settlement to gain XP for the settlement that you really want to build. Currently, the XP dense areas will level up specific nodes faster, and I personally do not find this healthy for the game in its current state either. We had a guild try to level a single node by themselves the last phase, and through trials and tribulations, they were never able to level it. So, yeah, it definitely needs a lot of work with the balancing the XP side and how to have players go out into the world and start building up their settlements by themselves. And it should be at least available enough for people to, go out of their way away from like the big Zerg or whatever to go and build out their own like little vassal ship. And I think that would be really cool, but currently it's not like that. Default buildings are buildings every settlement should have: warehouses, stables, taverns, town halls, craft stations, etc. Then there are open plots within your settlement for your mayor to place. Yes, you can be a mayor, you can manipulate the masses to vote for you, and know the other election types: divine, military, and economic node. Election types are not available. The only election type and node type that we have right now, settlement type, is the scientific diplomatic voting. And for the scientific node or settlement, I keep saying node, forgive me. Another system that is not fully realized entirely, which is all the voting and stuff. Are you noticing a recurring theme yet? Because you should. The mayors can put out buy orders to the citizens where they can gather settlement currency, where they can get reputation for completing buy orders, which lower their tax and gives other benefits. I thought I was playing video games where I was supposed to have a little bit of escapism, not bring me back to reality where I have to pay taxes there too, but I digress. Mayors also get flying mounts currently, but come launch, only mayors of cities, which are the max level settlements, which are limited per realm. There's going to be 5 cities per world and maybe a few from drops from epic bosses, which will be temporarily for a month or so. So there will not be a lot of flying mounts in this game. There will be gliding mounts, but they are not currently in the game. They do have animal husbandry where the gliding mounts are supposed to come from, but that system is kind of in a placeholder state at the moment. And yes, you do get to breed animals, you weirdos. There will be some sort of genome thing that happens in the background at some point. They are working on the engineering side of that and the visual effects side of that. But like I said, right now it's placeholder. Mayors can declare wars of other settlements with currency and commissions, and currently anyone can siege a settlement even if they're not a mayor. And they can slot 100 chosen warriors versus the other settlements, and this will start the siege. This will probably be changed later because there might have been a little bit of drama between my guild getting content denied, with enemy settlement replacing members with level 1 alts and funny nicknames. This system needs a lot of work, has a lot of network issues, currently doesn't have the destruction element added to it. The overall play style and game mode type, It's not really that fun or interesting at the moment, but it will be. It has a lot of potential things that the devs can do to make this really good. Also, I have a lot of faith because in Alpha 1, the castle sieges that they did literally 4 years ago were so much better than where node sieges currently are. Like if they just kind of copied and pasted some of the castle siege stuff, it would be so much better. Player housing is not currently in Freeholds, which are, better player housing, are currently, and frankly, dog shit and just not working. So they removed them. So Freeholds are not in because they're not even 1/100th of what they showed as the vertical slice in the dev update. Player stalls are not in, but we do have a market vendor where you can place your player stall in a UI and you'll be able to sell goods and materials through that UI and other people will be able to go interact with it and stuff. So that exists, but it's not in its full iterative state at the moment. The artisan crafting economy in Ashes of Creation is going through iterative changes constantly, new recipes being added, gear being changed, new materials being brought into the world from different biomes, crates and caravan systems, certifications for leveling up, nodes, their workbenches, time to kill, corruption, etc. Almost everything in Ashes of Creation hits this particular section in Ashes of Creation. The artisan crafting economy is extremely important, and basically everything ties into it. So when bugs, exploits, drop rates, loot tables, changes happen, this area gets massively affected. This also affects how the rest of the game and the rest of the phase goes. Any RMT, cheat, exploit brought into the game massively damages player experience, and it's not good for the game or testing. But I can almost guarantee you it will happen. And all I can say is that I really hope Intrepid and their community team are prepared for December 11th to be a live service game for when things happen and they can investigate fully into these issues and issue appropriate repercussions and changes to the events that are happening in the world. Otherwise, it will damage the game and it will damage its reputation. As a new player, expect rollbacks, time lost, and major changes when events like this happen, and almost everything is announced in the Ashes of Creation official Discord, so I would check there for constant updates. When you enter into the game through the portals and begin questing, you'll find that the quests generally lead to the appropriate level quests for at least a time at least. Then there won't be that many quests for you to do in order to keep on leveling, and you might be lost. If you find yourself lost, you have to group up and start fighting mobs, doing commissions in towns, which are kind of like quests. You can be issued them by the mayor, or just the town will just have regular commission boards that you can use to get XP. And you can also just explore the world. There's a lot of different PoIs with different level mobs and stuff, and there's not generally a whole lot of hand-holding. Players are generally pretty open with helping and grouping up because, well, you simply cannot solo in this game unless you play an archetype that can, and there's not that many that can. Even if you do solo, it's not that efficient to just Sung Jin Woo your way through to level 25, but hey, I'm not here to ruin anyone's fun. Intrepid is. I'm just kidding. But yes, it is extremely hard to solo. It's extremely difficult. It will take a lot of time. If you are trying to be one of the on par with like the best people on the server, playing solo is just not the way. You'll never get it done efficiently. I think there should be more viable ways for solo players in this game to level, but right now pretty much everything is balanced around a group of 8, both for PvE and for PvP. And all in all, the leveling experience is rough. You will not have fun in the current state. You won't be able to quest all the way like you normally would in like other MMOs. The PvE is just not that engaging, and you'll be subject to open world PvP, which a lot of people have issues with. This game is an open world PvP game, and it's here to stay. It has a mechanic called corruption, which is an anti-grief mechanic, where if a player kills someone who does not attack back, or aka a non-combatant, they will gain corruption, which will increase their experience stat on death and potentially lose equipped gear depending on how many blight stacks and how much your corruption level has gone up. So if you are corrupted, it is generally a bad thing. The state of corruption is currently overtuned at the moment because of a little incident with Asmongold that happened. And with the current state of the economy, it is almost 100% guaranteed that people will not be going corrupted on you for no reason in the open world, and you can feel safe knowing that. So essentially right now in the alpha state, the corruption is overtuned. And basically nobody has a real reason to attack you in the open world other than to bait you into attacking them so that they can kill you without getting corruption. So there are ways to just avoid being attacked in the open world. And there are like systems for anti-griefing and for consensual PvP, and non-consensual PvP will be punished. So you can at least rest a little bit if that is a concern of yours. I would say personally, if you were already planning on getting this game and you love everything about it, but this one thing might stop you from purchasing it, watch people's streams, watch YouTube videos or something like that of them walking through the world and decide, hey, do you really feel in danger in the current state of the game? Because I can almost guarantee you it feels as if there is no PvP in the open world in its current state. That doesn't mean that it won't change eventually. So I'm not going to tell you how to spend your money, but I would just say if that is your one reservation for not buying this game, I wouldn't worry about it too much. There is currently a way players are getting around corruption. They will bring along clerics so that they can gank players with crates, usually for monetary gain. And then the corrupted player will drown themselves in either like a river or the ocean or something, and then have the cleric resurrect them. They could also have their cleric, who is their friend, kill them and then resurrect them. And it will drop the corruption level and their equipment. They'll take those items and then they'll trade them back. There is currently no bind on equip or bind on pickup in this game, so just about everything is tradable. So be wary of player bandits, especially when you're interacting with the crate system, which is not an opt-in PvP thing like caravans are. Caravans are like crates, but they have an attacker/defender opt in and out mechanic. So those differ in that aspect. The bounty system is not currently in and probably won't be until corruption is balanced properly and Intrepid figure out what they want to do with the lawless zones or zones in the world where you can PvP without gaining corruption, which are labeled appropriately on your map. And when you enter the zones, there is a little message that pops up on your screen. Also, the Harbinger event that is coming December 11th that has the really good PvE are PvP zones. So unfortunately for my PvEers out there, the Harbinger event is locked behind a PvP encouraged zone, I should say. There have been tons of flagging issues in the past, but they've mostly ironed out a lot of these issues, and hopefully they don't bug out again like what happened previously, where players would enter lawless zones but act as non-combatants to players that enter who are combatants, and it gets really buggy, so you can't like actually CC them to defend yourself appropriately. So hopefully they fix that in the next phase. There is and always will be a divisive battle between PvPers and PvEers on this topic, but just know that this is a core pillar of the game to create the PvX that Intrepid want. Your cries will probably be heard, but most likely unanswered. I will have to say on this aspect, I am a content creator specifically because of the PvP in this game. I really want to be a PvP player, and the arenas and everything like that that are supposed to come in the near future are things that I'm extremely interested in. I think the combat overall in Ashes of Creation is by far one of the most fun and interesting things about this game. I put over any other MMO at the moment. They need a lot more depth with the archetypes, abilities, and even just creating secondary archetypes for the 64 class system, which will be amazing. I have no doubt about that. There are clear archetypes that are good at small scale and some that are clearly good at large scale. And then there's a spectrum in between with more diversity of playstyles, expanding the skill trees and abilities, as well as bouncing gear and TTK in this game. It could be the best PvP MMO that is currently out there, and I'm extremely excited for it. However, right now it's extremely simple and basic. They have fully rounded out abilities for everything with not enough player choice at the moment. You will have fun playing your class. You'll desire more. You will also probably feel the hate for rogues that I cause unto others.
Dude, put in general. Rogue players gonna kill themselves.
That's pretty much it, but there are a lot of systems in the game that I pretty much have missed or not covered fully in depth or in nuance. Then there's naval in the game, there's boats. It's fun. They have 2 types so far. There will be sport fishing, which is like another way to generate money with crates by deep sea fishing. It's very reminiscent of arcade sport fishing. Dueling is going to be introduced with harbingers for 1v1s, and they have plans in the future to increase dueling for parties and raids. So that'll be really cool. Arenas are incoming. Guild wars, node wars, and node sieges will be expanded upon. Mayoral buy orders, mayoral commissions, regular commissions are stuff that I didn't really get into, but they can get pretty complex. Caravan and crate system is extremely fun economy loop. In phase 2, caravans were the craziest thing. You would have guilds running 70 caravans and you would have people attacking them because it was opt-in PvP, and it was like the best way to generate money. Meanwhile, in phase 3, crates were interesting, complex, and they added diminishing returns to like how far you were from one settlement to another, and if there was too many resources, the amount of gold return of investment would diminish a little bit. So that became a bit of a pain point for the community, but there was also a lot of fun that came out of it. A lot of issues with the corruption system was found due to that. So even though caravans became less fun and less interesting and less impactful phase 3, Intrepid is currently working on a way to make that a fun and interesting mechanic again. So you have that to look forward to. The crafting, artisan economy workbenches are gatekept by settlement plots, which is a big negative for a lot of people. Your artisan levels and skills are capped based on the types and how far you go with certifications. So you will feel limited in that. That could be a bad thing. That could be something that you need to put feedback on. But it's also could be a good thing because it creates player interactivity and interdependency. So just give them your feedback on what you think, and hopefully we can create a better game with what is good or bad in your opinion. The number one thing that will kill this game is losing player retention. And if we can get a bunch of people to be happy with certain systems to keep concurrent users up, then this game can be great. The mayoral system is deeply complex, and I didn't even touch the tip of the glacier with that one. I have an old phase 1 video of how the mayors worked, but I haven't really been interested in becoming a mayor in the last recent phases, so I haven't really interacted with it, but I do know that there are a lot of great mayor information hubs, like the Mayor 101 Discord. There is Zombie, Clover. These types of people are deeply knowledgeable inside of what a mayor can do, and they would probably be willing to teach or explain or show you different hubs where you can get that information. Find a guild. It is hard soloing out there. Friends are necessary. The guild drama is absolutely peak in this game. It is crazy how much fun I have being in a guild. I've been in 3 different guilds. One was an RP guild, one was a semi-hardcore guild, and now I'm in a hardcore guild. And it's just been super fun. All of it has been fun. The people have been great. I think I've met more friends in Ashes of Creation than I have in real life in the past 5 years, which is crazy. The community drama and politics can get wild. So be prepared for that. There is toxicity, there's wholesomeness, there's the spectrum in between. I think you're going to either find something that you love or find something that you hate. And there's going to be things that you're going to like and not like when it comes to communities, as everyone finds naturally. In life, there are people that you like, there are people that you don't like. That is completely normal. And then the internet kind of expands on that and makes it a little bit, expand a little bit more on that. The world is massive in size. Traveling takes forever. There are no fast travel. You may find yourself frustrated by this at times. Ember Springs are basically respawn points. Essence is the basics of magic in the world. Biomes are currently in the game for expanded worlds or areas. So you have the Riverlands, the Anvils, which are like the mountainous region. You have the desert currently, and then you also have the Jundark, which is like a jungle, and the tropics. There will be another biome that's coming on the Western continent, which is what we are currently on. And that should be the Badlands, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And then there's the Eastern continent, and there's a couple other islands that are meant to be placed in the world as well. So that is going to expand on the different types of areas that will be coming in short term, long term, all of the above throughout the entire development process of this. So that is something to look forward to for more visual beauty and immersion and more settlements. And there's just going to be a lot more to explore. I don't normally do these types of videos, as I would rather just play and talk about the game. But I felt it was my duty to explain the current state of things to new players entering with all the MMOs dying recently. Ashes may not be the game for you. Ashes is not in a great state at the moment. There are a lot of things that need to change, be improved upon, balanced, added, expanded to be a good MMORPG, and I hope it does. And honestly, if you're an MMORPG player, you should hope this game succeeds too. I don't know where all this hate comes from or why it happens. And you don't have to put your money into this game if you think it's a scam or if you think it'll fail. Your money is yours. No one is trying to steal from you, my friend. I believe Ashes could be one of the greatest games, so I'm going to put my feet in and giving the best feedback I can to help create a good game. Anyways, thank you for coming, and I hope you come again.